We're watching oil policy, potential congressional aid, whether a third player could broker some more advanced talks. Let's get to Kayla Tausche for the latest this morning. Morning, Kayla.
Good morning, Carl. Let's bring you up to speed on what's been happening in Ukraine for the last 48 hours. Violence has been erupting across the country as civilians try to leave despite planned ceasefires that were supposed to allow safe passage. Shellings in the port city of Mariupol halting evacuations for 2 days, with hundreds of thousands prevented from escaping. And in Irpin, north of Kyiv, a family killed while trying to leave. U.S. officials say they now see credible reports of intentional attacks on civilians, which would be a war crime. Meanwhile, pressure on Western leaders to ban Russian oil is growing, with coordinated action possible as soon as this week, according to a UK official, although, Carl, you did just mention the comments from Germany's chancellor. And while the U.S. has feared that such a ban would simply allow President Putin to sell less oil at higher prices to countries like China and India, it now appears there could be support for such a move.
We are now in very active discussions with our European partners about banning the import of Russian oil to our countries, while, of course, at the same time maintaining a steady global supply of oil. We are looking, again, as we speak, in coordination with allies and partners, at this prospect of banning oil imports.
Former Deputy Energy Minister Konstantin Chijik tells me Russia is now eyeing a third nuclear site in the south of Ukraine to capture and use as leverage after already taking the Chernobyl site and the Zaporizhia plant last week, killing some staff and forcing others to work around the clock against safe operating procedures. A third round of ceasefire talks between Russia and Ukraine set to begin at this hour, according to a top advisor to Ukraine's president. So far, Russia has not delivered on anything agreed in the prior two rounds. Guys?
Which is incredibly unfortunate, but perhaps not that surprising. I mean, the seizure of nuclear assets is particularly alarming. Kayla, just to go back to these headlines we're getting this morning around a potential oil ban, I mean, is there a possibility, is there a growing likelihood that even if Europe or Germany was not to go forward with such a ban at this point in time, that the U.S. could do it alone?
The U.S. certainly could do it alone, but it wouldn't have as much bang for its buck if it were to do that. The discussions are still ongoing for some sort of coordinated move. There were some reports out of Japan overnight that Japan might join into an oil embargo there as well. So even if Germany is out of the equation, which according to the chancellor's comments this morning, it appears that they are backing away from this, there is still this idea that it would need to be done in concert with many countries to have the maximum impact. There is a secure call happening at 10:30 this morning between President Biden and the leaders of UK, France, and Germany. This is going to be top billing on that call to see how we proceed from here. There are also several other items under consideration in Congress, whether it's banning Russia's status as a most favored nation for trading status or revoking its membership in the World Trade Organization. All of that is on the table. It just depends at this point in the 11th hour which countries sign on to it. Carl.